And welcome back to the Hayley Osborne Show with me, Hayley, your host, in your ears for another episode of this glorious podcast. And as we, move through the year, it's only fitting that I talk about a little bit of a growth shortcut that I feel and that I'm seeing more and more that most business owners are missing. And I don't want you to go through the year and not do this for yourself, okay, in some way, shape, or form. And one thing that I know is the shortcut doesn't come from like doing more, okay? And so today I wanted to talk about something I see all the time with business owners. We are, and I am guilty of this, we are so guilty of this. I do know, and I do this for myself when I'm going to talk to you about today, but we really do, we're exceptional at doing, okay? We all are. But I know that doing more doesn't always create growth, okay? And growth often comes from when we start to think better and think differently, okay, and do things differently. Growth doesn't come from doing more. And I want you to remember that because we get stuck in this cycle of this hamster wheel where we think, yep, I'm just going to add this and add this and add this and do more. And therefore, then I will create more sales, more clients, more wealth, okay, at the end of the day. And we're juggling clients, content, emails, ops. We're stuck in the operations. And, I definitely know this for a fact where I do this in my own business. I'm juggling three small humans at the same time. And honestly, like I've lived this too, but as business owners, I think we can also understand that knowledge is power. And if you are not working on growth and upskilling yourself, then you'll always be stuck where you always are. And so I think that yes, we become really good at doing client work, doing admin, doing emails, doing sales. We're doing all the things. We're the accountant, we're the bookkeeper, especially at the start. Well, I'm not those things anymore, but at the start, we do have to do those things, and we become exceptional at keeping all of the plates moving in the air at the same time. But somewhere along the way, I think that we convince ourselves, and I've seen this firsthand, that it does come from more hours. We want to grow, more hustle, more effort, more content, more pressure. We always put pressure on ourselves, or I know I do. And what I've learned over the years, especially building my own business and building an empire that I am, and while raising three young little humans, is that when we want to grow, it doesn't come from doing more. And we need to understand that and think better and therefore do better. Do better because there are ways out there for you to be able to do better, to think clearer, to think bigger, to create space. And so one of the things I've started doing, this is side, but is regular saunas. And it gives me, I sweat bullets for 20 minutes, or I try and stay in there for 20 minutes. But oh my gosh, I don't have my phone. I lie down because it's just hot as balls. And I just am with my own thoughts. And wow, the things that come into my mind when I am there is incredible, and I'm clear. And I think that creates space for me. And I want to think about what that looks like for you. And I genuinely believe that when you create space, this is one of the biggest shortcuts that business owners miss. And because I think when you're constantly inside your business, it's really hard to lead the business. It's really hard to think about how you're going to grow the business. And today I want to try and unpack exactly what I mean by that. The sauna is a really good example, but there's other good examples as well. And I see a lot of business owners fall into this trap. So, you're brilliant, talented, really smart. You wouldn't be where you are today if you weren't. You care deeply about what you do and the people that you help and the people that you genuinely change their lives for. And I know that on the byproduct and on the back end of that, you're exhausted. And I think that, you are operating inside a very reactive mode, and that's not healthy. Replying to emails quickly, like putting out fires, trying to keep everyone happy. And if you've got employees, that's another layer. And then trying to remember what to post on your social media. Okay. And trying to fit strategy into the tiny cracks that are left at the end of the day is hard. And sometimes like the strategy happens at 11:30 at night, and that's not good. Okay. You've got a tired brain. You open your laptop, half scrolling, half thinking, like depleted. It really sucks. And, I get it. You try and tell yourself that that's your strategy, but strategy doesn't thrive when you're exhausted. And clarity doesn't happen when you're mentally in that playing in that overload space, which really, really sucks. And I think that bigger thinking, especially if you want to grow and expand and not be stuck in the crazy mode, it needs breathing space. It needs room to be able to thrive. And I've experienced this myself. And there's been seasons in my business where I felt like I was, moving all the time, but not necessarily moving forward. And I think there is, I'm coming out of, well, not recently, but probably a year ago, I was coming out of that season, and it was tough. I had really, really small humans. And it seems like, you're always busy and you think you're productive and you think you're doing all the right things. But, there is something that always feels like when you're in that mode that it's not clicking into place. And I think one thing that I realized is that I wasn't creating enough intentional space to think. And I also didn't have any more space to allow time to think and to reflect, to challenge ideas. And now I do, to ask bigger questions, to zoom out. It's really lovely. Because I think when you're living inside your business every single day, you do stop seeing it clearly. And that is a massive issue. And I think that's where most business owners get stuck. And we know that you're capable, we know that you're talented. But one thing that I do know is that you don't have enough space to think strategically inside of your business. And when you do create that space, that gives you clarity, and clarity creates momentum. And one thing I've learned over the many, many years of working with lots and lots of business owners is that when you're confused about what that clarity looks like, you hesitate. Hesitation causes accidents every single time. But when you're clear on the message that you have, you show up really differently. Okay. I want to let that sink in. You show up very differently. And when you're clear on your strategy, you market differently. Okay. And when you are very clear on what your priorities are in how you're showing up and growing your business, you then enable yourself to be able to make decisions a lot faster. Okay. And therefore, that means that you've allowed yourself to not second guess what you're doing. Okay. You're not chasing trends, you're sticking in your lane because nobody else is in that lane. Okay. And I think that you do stop trying to do everything because you don't need to. And you start building with some serious intention. And I think sometimes business owners assume growth comes from complexity. It comes from the hard stuff. More funnels, more software, more programs, more tactics, more this, more that, blah, 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 blah. But I don't think it is that way. I think it comes from the most simplest changes. Okay. So clarity around who you are, what you do, how you help people, where you want to go next, and where your next clients are actually coming from, and around what matters. And honestly, I think that the more focused the conversations are that you're having, you can create more momentum in 6 months of trying to figure out everything alone. I've seen it happen over and over and over again. And I've seen it happen myself when I've decided to level up and that enough is enough. Okay. Someone shifts one piece, one positioning message, one mindset shift, one strategy, okay? And suddenly everything starts to shift and you're not actually working harder, okay? What you've done is become clearer, Okay. And something else that I've been thinking about a lot lately is your environment matters. Who you are around matters. The rooms that you are in matter. Conversations, energy, all of that matters because when you get ambitious people in a room, your confidence becomes a lot larger. Okay. Ideas expand, possibilities become bigger. And, you might hear somebody ask a question that you've never even considered. And when you hear that perspective, everything shifts. And you start thinking beyond today, you start thinking beyond next week, and you start thinking, oh, maybe, maybe I can get out of survival mode, and that this matters because I think that business growth it is not created when you are staying inside of the same thought patterns and inside of your day to day forever. Okay. Growth happens when we create opportunities for ourselves because no one else is going to come knocking on your door and go, now you get to wear the crown of this profession. Now you are the crown of your own world. Okay. No one is going to do that for you. You have to crown yourself with that title and you have to crown yourself and give yourself those opportunities to be able to think differently. And as founders and business owners, we need that. And we need more moments where we have opportunities to be able to step away, okay, and reconnect to the vision of why you started in the first place and get that fire back because the founder drives the business, not the other way around. Your clients don't drive the business. You drive the business on how you want to be, how you want to show up, how you want to be positioned and accepted and relatable, and how you inspire people. You drive that vision, okay? And if you feel stuck, the business feels stuck, and that's just the way it is. And if the founder feels clear, if you feel clear, what happens? Momentum flows. So what I'm doing differently, because I know business owners need spaces where they can step away from the noise. I know that you need a space where you can step away from the noise, away from your desk, away from if you work from home. I know that you need, I need, and I feel like a lot of other business owners need a premium space, intentional spaces, environments where clarity is escalated and created. I've decided to create something very special for you. I'm only opening 6 seats to this one luxe boardroom for 6 ambitious business owners, and it is a premium founder strategy experience designed to be able to help business owners like you to create some more clarity, to strengthen your marketing foundations, think bigger, okay, and build momentum heading into the new financial year. Because sometimes it's not about doing more, okay? It's about stepping outside of your office and outside of noisy, and create space to think strategically, feel supported, feel challenged, and give permission to focus on where you're heading, okay? Not just where you're currently at the moment, because we do get stuck in the doing. And if this sounds like something that you've been craving lately, I want you to send me a message on Instagram or wherever I am, Facebook, I'm everywhere. Send me a message. I'd love to chat with you. I have created a day, okay, in a luxe boardroom for you in a few weeks' time. I only have 6 seats, so it's first in, best dressed. And as this podcast comes out, it will be Tuesday, the 26th of May. So we will be having this day in June. If this sounds like something that you would love to join and be part of, it is an elevated day and it is luxury. You will be fed well, healthy, yes, so you can there'll be no brain fog, so you can keep thinking clearly. It is based in the Adelaide CBD. I would love to chat with you. Send me a message. Thank you so much for being here. You can also find it over on my website if you're looking for a little bit more information on my VIP end of financial year strategy day. Until next time, guys, keep showing up, keep backing yourself, okay? And keep building the business that lights you up. And I will speak to you soon. Okay, bye for now.